phones, something we all use on a daily basis for various reasons, and one of them is for communication. Now, have you ever wondered how your friend who's literally miles away from you can call you on this rectangular gadget filled with plastic and metal parts? And how did one person communicate from another person who's in a different place back then? Or what was it they used before cell phones? Well, you're in luck, because I'm going to tell you the history of telecommunications. Now, you might be asking, what is telecommunication? So in simple words, telecommunication is communication over a distance by cable, telegraph, telephone, or broadcasting. Telecommunication started and evolved because of our human desires for communication over a distance greater than the feasible with human voice, though slow systems such as postmail are excluded from the field. Communication is so important to us that even before the word telecommunication even existed, we were already looking for ways on how to talk to one another over a long distance. Some examples of these are smoke signals, drums, fire, and many more that we will tackle as we go through its timeline. Now, the prehistoric era pioneered everything that has to do with human desire of having to communicate to one another at long-distance places. They have achieved this by using fire and smoke signals, as well as drum messages and dedicated whistle sound to encode information over a limited geographic area as they attempted to contact neighboring tribes. So in 6th century BCE, it was mostly like the first postal system was established. And in 5th century BCE, they used pigeons to deliver messages from one place to another. How creative is that? Now in circa 490 BCE, they used heliograph or shield signal. Now how does the shield signal work? Where it involves the shining of the sun on a polished object like a shield or mirror. Then the light from the sun will bounce back and it will reach a place where they want to reach it to. Now in the 15th century CE, they used flag semaphore, and flag semaphore, a special code involving the position of two handheld flags. Each position and motion represented a letter or a number. Now that's out of the way and we have our foundation set. We're now going to hop through time to get through the many inventions that we are about to witness. In 3, 2, 1, let's go! In 1672, Mr. Robert Hooke is the first guy to be credited for creating the acoustic phone. With his desire to make music, he discovered that the sound could be transmitted over a string or wire attached to either a mouthpiece or an earpiece. In 1790, the first telecommunication system in Europe was created by the French inventors, the Chap brothers. This was called the optical telegraph, where it would sit somewhere high and it would swing its mechanical arms around to deliver its message to another tower. 1838 has Mr. Samuel B. Morse and his friends Alfred Vail and Leonard Gale discovering that if you connect two model telegraphs together while running electricity through a wire, you could deliver messages by holding or releasing buttons in a series of intervals, aka Morse code. This is called electrical telegraph, and this was also the foundation for modern landline phones. In 1858, people and ships can communicate back to their countries. The first transatlantic telegraph cable was created. And in 1867, the signal lamps. The British Admiral Mr. Philip Colomb took the design of the signal lamp inventor Arthur C.W. Aldous and implemented this method of communication as well as his own code in order for the ships in his fleet to easily communicate. In 1876, famous Alexander Graham Bell figured out how to transmit a simple current first and receive a patent for that invention on March 7, 1876, which is the telephone. In 1877, inventor Thomas Alva Edison innovated the telephone into an acoustic phonograph that is used in sound recording and transmission. Because of the success of his invention, Alexander Graham Bell had now got the money and budget to improve his invention, and there he had made the first wireless call in history. This is telephony via light beam photophones. In 1893, Tesla was the first to successfully transmit radio waves wirelessly through a transmitter. Somebody named Marconi tried to ruin this by accusing him of stealing the idea he's doing, which was not true, so Tesla continued this experiment and attempted to create more efficient light bulb. What a great man! In 1896, Marconi, who was undaunted by his defeat in US courts, kept working on his own version of wireless transmission in sound. His work was a success and is known as the radio. In 1915, the first North American continental telephone calling happened, basically the first long-distance call in the history of landlines. In September 7, year 1912, Mr. Philip Taylor Farnsworth made media history with his invention, the television. In 1930, AT&T made the iconophone that allowed people to hear, see, and respond to those who they are speaking to in real time, although this did not have much commercial success. In 1934, the first radio telephone call from the US to Japan is first made. So because of the great distance, the quality of the call was not that great. And then we moved to 1936, where the world witnessed the first public video phone network, installed by Nazi Germany during World War II, though it was only for Aryans and had limited time of use. In 1946, we have limited capacity mobile telephone, which wasn't that great. But in 1956, the transatlantic telephone cable that made phone calls much less expensive was a little bit better. In 1962, the Communication Satellite Act was officially passed, allowing telecommunication to finally go into space. In 1964, Charles Cow and George Hockham published a paper that proved that fiber optic communication could be possible, as long as the fiber used to transmit the information were free from impurities. In 1965, the first North American public videophone network trials was happening. And then in 1969, Charlie Klein and Bill Duval invented the first ever computer network. And here we are at 1973, the first modern era mobile phone was made. Inventor Martin Cooper placed the first cellular mobile call in 1973 to his rival at Bell Labs, Joel Engel. The call only took 30 minutes and it took a year for the battery to recharge. But thanks to that, it would be the prototype for Motorola's first mobile phones. In 1979, the International Maritime Satellite Organization, or also known as Inmarsat, provided marine vessels with reliable communication for increased safety and communication for sailors and passengers who needed to speak to someone on shore. In 1981, the first commercially automated cellular network was launched in Japan. It was originally just launched in Tokyo, but then, as time went by, it was expanded. When the internet was slowly being developed and is highly secured because of military purposes, in 1982, Jonathan Postel wrote the SMTP, or Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, that gave the internet a purpose and reliability to send electronic mail to the recipient through cooperative hosts. Oh, and in 1983, the almighty internet was born. ARPANET has officially switched its old NCP to TCP/IP. Now with 1998 nearing the 2000s, the first canopy of 64 satellites was put into place by a company called Iridium. This revolutionized mobile telecommunications and would lead to the modern smartphone. And now we are at 2003, the VoIP internet telephony. Phone calls were now capable of being transmitted over computer through the internet. This meant that long-distance communication is no longer a problem. Now, let me tell you something. Telecommunication will forever improve. There will be minds that will think how to improve this furthermore. Thanks to those people that they made their ideas happen, and communication has never been easier for us. And there you have it, the history of telecommunication. I hope you learned something. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.